Medville is a pretty cool place. First of all, I think it is like a small town. It's a small community. But the thing that I think is most important about it is that it's a highly vetted community of people who are friends. Or if they're not friends, they become friends very quickly. And, one of the things that is in really scarce supply right now is a place where you can go that you're not sold. Your eyeballs are not sold and you're not a product. And it's a place where when we get together, it's confidential. There are a bunch of people who I've worked with for a long time and some folks that are new friends of mine who've been in this group. And some of us are very similar in background and some are very different. But we've traveled a journey that is similar. And we have a place to bring our work, our stories, and our concerns and have them heard and talked about. And so it's a really valuable place that we meet. We meet once every 3 weeks for about an hour and a half. And it's one of those things that on my calendar I prioritize. I mean, I don't skip a meeting if I can help it. I mean, I think I've skipped one or two, and that's been times when I've either been in Europe or had mandatory meetings that I've had to do. Even with COVID, I was sick with COVID one time and I went to the meeting. So it was okay. We were all meeting virtually, but it was a great way to do it. It's been really wonderful for me to have that community of friends. I think there's a lot of benefit for me. I mean, what I do is, being a leader, you can be pretty lonely, right? And you don't have people to talk to, especially folks who have, I think we added it up once, it was over 200 years of experience amongst the people in our little 6-person group. And, bringing sort of in confidence, bringing issues that people have together does two things. One, it gives me a vantage point on anything that I might have. If another one of our members brings a problem, and it makes me think about how would I process that. But the other one is that if I have a problem and bring it there, I probably get 5 or 6 different opinions about how to deal with it. Some of them are not so great, and some of them are really great. And that's the nature of this thing. And we have a place to talk through what it is that we do. So the exhaust of that, it makes me a better leader, and it makes me be more wise in the actions I take in my company. I think one of the things, for a health insurer that is on this journey from being a health insurer to a population health company with an insurance problem is that one of the people in our little Medville club is one of the providers in our community, and we also insure that provider. So they are contracted with us in 2 ways. We have a contract to provide health insurance to them, and they have a contract with us to provide services to our members. And as we got to talking about it, we said, this is almost a full circle kind of thing. We have all the circle of money going around, and we could probably figure out how to do the kind of care that we think should be done in population health and taking care of these 7 vital conditions in a different way than a fee-for-service kind of environment provides. And so what we did is had this conversation about where we might want to go. And what that turned into was a conversation with my board and the board of the provider, and they agreed that we should begin to use this as a pilot to really advance population health to a different level. So it is kind of like a small town. The meeting is not like your title, it's your whole person. And when we bring our whole people there, we have jobs that we do, but we also are affected by the job that we do. And sometimes in a leadership position, you can't show that you're affected by that. You have to take a position that is, the company, what the company expects you to take. And that sometimes takes a toll on people. And sometimes you don't want to do that position. It's hard to do that position, or it's something that you approach with a little bit of anxiety. And what's nice about the Medville SAGES group for me is that I can go in there and have a conversation about, is this the right thing to do? And usually it's either yes or no. I can affirm what I thought was right. But then I can talk through how I'm feeling about it in a safe spot so that when I come back out of that, I'm much more resolute and settled in my own emotional world and in my own mind about how things go together. But there are things that sometimes in the work world or even in your personal world, you have things that you could roll through your head, and you can't say those things, and you need a spot to. I mean, they're not inappropriate or whatever, but you need a place to vet those thoughts and sort of challenge them, and this offers a place to do that in confidence. And I think what's nice about it is the people who are in that part of the Medvale are wise, diverse, older people with a lot of experience who can give you a good, balanced perspective on stuff. And that's kind of rare right now in the environment we're living in. And one of the nice things about it is we're not all the same politically. We're not all the same on a lot of points of view. But what we do is allow each other to bring our whole selves to the table and have a true dialogue about it, a dialogos, an exchange of ideas in a place that's not acrimonious or belittling. What happens is there's so much lived experience. You don't spend a whole lot of time talking about the background of the problem. In fact, we can pick up a problem and say 2 sentences, and we've said 2 years of work that it would have taken somebody to understand it. And we have such shared experiences and lived experiences that makes sense to have a conversation like that. But it's diverse enough so that the experiences that we do have are not so overlapping that it's singularly focused. I mean, we're all sort of into the delivery world, but I mean, you've got, in our group, we've got an Army colonel who was in the Armed Forces medical system. You've got people who are in the for-profit and not-for-profit hospital world. You've got academic medical folks. You've got a rural primary care provider. You've got me in insurance world. You've got a fellow who was part of the American Board of Pediatrics. And so even though it feels relatively narrow on the delivery side of healthcare, it's a broad field. And the beauty of that is that we can talk about just about anything. We can talk about pharma and devices and all the rest of it, but it ends up being a wide-ranging conversation, and the wisdom in the room is incredible. Why is Medvale important? So I think one of the things that we recognize now is that often you're sold. You got your eyeballs sold, or you're the product that people want to work at. And the thing I like about Medvale is there's none of that. And it's a pure place that doesn't have capitalist spinoff. The other thing is that I think everybody in this group wants to do good and do well, and so they've worked real hard to do that. And I think some of the assumptions that at least our little group has come together with is that it takes a community to really build a durable structure for the next generations of leaders. And if we're not involved in creating that community, then who is going to be involved? I mean, we're a bunch of leaders who have benefited greatly. I mean, I'm an old white guy who's probably had every privilege any human ever had. And if we're not passing that on, what the heck are we doing? And I think the sages in Medvale, people that I've met, feel that way. And it's kind of this antidote to this narcissistic rancor that kind of exists in our communities in different places. It's one of the few places where we can get together and have time with one another and be constructive in what we do and give back. I think one of the things that Medvale does is that there's not many places in community or in society right now where you can be constructive and convergent in pressures. And what Medvale does is, very important that you're not being sold. Somebody's not making a bunch of money on you, and it's a place where you can actually bring crazy ideas. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good, and have a conversation about what to do next. I mean, if the why is, we really want to be leaving a better place and places for our kids and grandkids, then how do we do that? And part of that is through community and in relationships. And what I've learned in the last probably 3 years since COVID kind of kicked along is that I'm going to focus my time working locally with people that I know on things that I can touch. And I don't think that the federal government's going to save us. I don't think big pharma or big banks or big medicine's going to do it. It's going to be leaders in small groups affecting change and donating their time and their skills and energy and wisdom to the next couple generations of people. And where do we have a space to do that? I mean, Medvale was one of the few rare places that I've found to be able to do that. And it's a fantastic place for us to be. Typically not an environment where you can move things along. And in order to which is kind of a funny statement because we're senior leaders, right? But if we really want to make a difference, not in our sort of vertical that we operate in, but in our community. I mean, where do we have an opportunity to do that? We've lost a lot of that in our communities that we live in. The churches are not relevant as much as they used to be. People are not joiners like with the Kiwanis Club or the Lions Club or anything like that. We don't have, with the advent of all the technologies we have, it's easy to go sit at home and watch a movie instead of going out to have a movie. And we're increasingly living in neighborhoods that the folks who live in that neighborhood are a lot like us. And so if we need to be in a place where we can have a broad-ranging, safe conversation, this is one of those places. And most of the people who are in the Medvale world that I know of are people who are doers. They get stuff done. And when they have a good idea, especially a good idea with others, they get stuff done with others. And I think what's going to happen, if I was looking for a place to be relevant in community, this is one of them. I don't know of another place that I have that kind of thing.